I wanted to start this out just by telling you a very quick little story about this photo. And that was, when I was editing the photo, I kind of had it about this size on the screen. And what had happened is I'd missed a few spots on the photo, and I ended up printing it out, and I ended up printing it out pretty large. And sure enough, those spots were inside of the photo. You could see them in the large print where they're a little bit harder to see on the screen here. Okay. And a lot of times, I'll try to zoom in and I'll try to clone out some of those spots, but sometimes I just miss it, especially if I'm not looking at the photo really large on the screen. So if you're printing, I think this is such a huge way that you can help make your prints better and get rid of those spots, because we spend a lot of time on these prints. I know that looking at them, most people don't come that close to the photo and they won't see it. Photographers do. So if you're a photographer, you walk up to everybody's print and you look at it from 3 inches away, but you're not supposed to, and most people around don't. But still, we want to be happy with our prints, even though we know other people might not see it that way. So here's a little trick for helping you clean up those spots. We're going to go over to the adjustments panel here. And we're going to add a curves adjustment layer here. So I'm just going to click on curves. And you've got some presets here. So there's a couple different things that we can do. And a lot of times it depends on the photo. Most of the time you'll find these spots in the sky, or you'll find them on a gray background if you're shooting in a studio, a light gray or a darker gray background. But look at what we start to see here when I zoom in. Okay, see that little thing there and that one there? When you zoom out, you'll never see those. You won't see them until you print the photo. All right, you can see there's one here. As I look around the sky, I'm sure I'm going to find another one. There's another one over here. And those might pop out a little bit more when you're looking at them from a distance. But the first few that we saw that were over here on the left-hand side, I can pretty much guarantee you, you're not going to see that little stuff unless you really zoom in. So here's the trick. If you go over to this curves panel and you just start dragging the curve in wacky ways, all right, check out what happens. It starts to show some of these off areas a little bit more. Okay, and you can start to drag up and down here, and you can, again, it's going to differ for every image, but some different moves by dragging it up and down will show it off in different ways. Okay, it's going to show more contrast. All right, so that's a good one there, because I can see a lot of those spots in the sky. That one, I mean, that one stands out like a sore thumb now, right? Where before, if I turn it off, it barely stands out. Now it's standing out. You can't not see it. All right. So we're going to come back over here. I'm going to show you there's another thing you can do. You can come up to color negative, and you can take a look at that. Sometimes, depending on the colors of your sky, if it happens to be sunset or sunrise, it might point those spots out a little bit more for you. And then the other one that could help, it's one of the presets in here. It's called negative. And negative just flips everything. So it helps with some of the spots, but you can see over here it doesn't quite help as much. And you might be able to tweak it by moving those sliders around a little bit here. There we go. Yeah, see, now you can really see it. And when you find one that works pretty good, because again, it's going to be different for a lot of photos, but sometimes you'll find one that tends to work on a lot of photos, where I can tell you this one was actually going to work pretty good on a lot of different types of photos. When you do find one, you can come over here. Remember, we have presets inside of here because we're looking at this preset list. And if you come over here to the menu, you can save that as a curves preset and then just call it spots, whatever, spot removal, whatever you want to call it, just some name that'll help you find it later on. But you can see here just by showing the before and after, before, after, before, and then after, how much easier it is to see some of those things inside of here. Okay. So if you are printing, if you're showing your stuff off on the web all the time, it's not going to be as big of an issue because people aren't going to zoom in quite that much. But if you're printing, trust me, those little tiny spots are going to stick out like a sore thumb. You want to make sure you get rid of them.